Top Dog Sales Training, and I just wanted to make this video to break down how to make $10,000 a month in car sales. So this is just at a basic level, right? This is you can make $10,000 a month very easily in car sales, right? But it's going to take some work, it's going to take some effort, it's going to take some energy, and it's got to be something that you actually want. So, but first, the first thing that you got to do, okay, in order to actually make that $10,000 a month, which is what you want, and that's the whole point of watching this video, is that you need to believe that it's even possible for you. And I know that sounds kind of, kind of crazy, like, oh, well, what do you mean? Of course I believe it. Yeah, but do you truly believe it to your core? Do you actually believe that you're worth making $10,000 a month? Like, this is the thing, like, because I can even think of when I was a kid, like, even the idea of being a landlord, even like being a landlord or making the kind of money that I've been able to make in sales, like, I didn't even think that was a possibility. I thought the only way you can make that kind of money is you got to be either a doctor or you got to be a lawyer, right? Because my parents didn't really make any money, okay? And so we were doing okay, but I would say below middle class, right? Because my parents were gamblers, and we had the electricity to cut off a few times, like, whatever. I'm not going to get into that story today, but another day I'm sure I will. But at the end of the day, I didn't even think that it was a possibility for me to make that kind of money. So you gotta get somebody that can instill those beliefs in you. And that's what happened to me. Is I had a friend, and his brother was selling cars at a Nissan dealership and was making over $10,000 a month. So my friend, who I trusted, got into my head and said, hey, have you ever thought about selling cars? I was like, yeah, maybe, why not, right? He's like, yeah, well, my brother is actually selling cars and he's making over 10 G's a month. I was like, whoa, 10 G's a month? So right away in my brain, I had a shift, because I was like, hey, if his little brother is making over $10,000 a month, if I go there, I can definitely make $10,000 a month, right? So a lot of times it's about, if you see and you know somebody and you trust somebody, if like one of your cousins or your family member, your brother, your sister is doing something and it's actually working, and you're like, damn, they're just a human being like me. Why do I not have the capacity to do that? Well, wait, hang on a second. I actually do have the capacity to do that. And then now all of a sudden, you actually have that belief, which is the first most important part of learning how to actually make money in car sales, which you want to make over 10 G's a month, because it can change your life. You can live with abundance. Obviously, if you go buy a penthouse and you start spending all your money and all your income is going towards that, then it's not going to be in as good of a situation. You still got to live below your means. But most people in the world don't even make $10,000 a month. And even the idea of making $10,000 a month is like, oh my God, like, that's crazy. And like I said, this is just the basic level. Like anybody can go into the automotive industry and start selling cars and start making $10,000 a month. Most dealerships have a very similar pay plan. Doesn't matter where you are, they're very similar. You get a percentage off the gross, you get a volume bonus, you get little spiff bonuses depending on what you sell. If you sell X amount of cars in a day, on a Saturday, on a sale day, you have appointment spiffs. Like there's so many different opportunities for you to make money. If you can sell back end, I live in Canada, so we need like rust protection and undercoating and all that stuff. You can sell extended warranties. Like most dealerships, you can sell that kind of stuff and you can make some more money. So it depends on what the pay plan is. You got to maximize the pay plan that you have. But what you got to do is you got to do the math and you got to reverse engineer it, okay? So if we're talking about $10,000, let's break down $10,000 here, okay? Let's say your average commission, $500, okay? So you're $500 per car. So that means how many cars am I going to have to sell to hit $10,000? Okay, so times 20, okay? And then boom, you have your $10,000, right? So now, if you're thinking about it like this, how many weeks are in a month? So you got 4 weeks. Okay? You got 4 weeks in a month. So that means every week, because you want to divide this by the 4 weeks, so you divide this by 4, 20 divided by 4, what is that? 5. So that means you're going to have to sell 5 cars a week. When you think about it, 5 cars a week, like, I don't know, is it that difficult to sell 5 cars a week? I don't think it is, you know? And so you start breaking down the math on how many customers do you need to have in front of you in order for you to sell 5 cars in a week. Okay, well, let's say your closing percentage is even 10%. Okay, let's say 10%, but chances are you probably have managers that are going to help you close deals. But let's just say for this example, you're at a 10% closing ratio. Okay, that means you'd have to have at least 10 people in front of you, okay, in order to get one deal. So if you got 10 people in front of you and you're closing at a 10%, you're going to get one deal. So that means you got to figure out a way to get 10 people in front of you every single day, right? And I'm just talking about like talking to people in front of you, right? Especially if you're at a busy dealership, like big franchise dealerships, you have a ton of people coming in. And usually you have a big database of people you can call and you can contact, okay? So if you have, let's say, you have 5 appointments that day, okay? 5 appointments. And you talk to 2 people that were in service, just kind of wandering around, okay? And then you have 3 walk-ins that you took, okay? So that means you physically talk to 10 people in front of you that day, right? So depending on how long of the process is, you know, like 10 people, that's a fair amount of people. But like this is if you don't know how to close shit, like 10% is pretty low, right? But this is just for the example. This is how you break it down. So if you talk to 10 people, okay, and you close at a 10% ratio, and you're making $500 commission per deal, and look, depending on where you're at, you might actually be able to make more than that, right? But for this example, let's say you talk to 10 people every day, and you close at a 10% ratio. So really, you got to break it down. So your goal is, let's say, to have 5 appointments, because chances are, if you're in a busy dealership, you're going to have at least 2 people in service that you can probably have a conversation with. So what I mean by that is you have a conversation with them and you put them into your database, right? You put them into your CRM. If you're working at a dealership, you have a CRM, which is going to keep all your customers. It's like a client management system. Okay, so it's going to manage all your customers for you. And so what you do is essentially you're mining for customers. So this is what I mean by 10 people. You talk to 10 people. So you're talking to 10 opportunities in a day, right? In front of you though. Like this is what I'm talking about in front of you. Because look, if you want to have the 5 appointments, well, this is another thing. Depending on how good your skills are on the phone, if you strengthen up that skill, let's say you want to get 5 appointments in a day, and you know, you're closing, let's say you talk to 10 people, okay, and you get 3 appointments, okay? So if you get 3 appointments per 10 people, okay? Actually, no, you know what? No, because then boom, you know how easy it's gonna be to get 5 appointments. Let's say realistically, you get 2 appointments per 10 people that you talk to, okay? So that's a little bit more realistic. So you talk to 10 people, and I'm talking about actual conversations on the phone, not, oh, I left somebody a voicemail and, you know, I talked to this person and they, you know, they just hung up on me. Like that doesn't even count. I'm talking about like you actually have a conversation with a person in order for you to explain to them the opportunity that they have and why they're even going to come into the dealership. Okay. So then let's say you get two appointments out of the 10 calls. Okay. So you get 2 appointments out of the 10 calls. So that means realistically, like, you have to make 25 calls. So you make 25 calls, and then you're gonna have roughly 5 appointments coming in, right? So like 25 calls is really not a lot of calls. So what I'm saying is when you break it down here and reverse engineer it, it's really not that difficult to do. And like this is if I'm talking about like you working 5 days a week when you could work 6, right? If you wanted to. So if you want to put in that extra work and you want to work 6 days, then work 6 days. And then you have more opportunity to break this down. And then you have 10 people that you have a conversation with every single day, and you're only closing at a 10% ratio, and your average commission is $500. Now all of a sudden you're like, shit, I'm making 10 G's a month. And you're like, damn, that wasn't even that difficult. But when you're putting that extra time in and that extra energy, you know, you're like, oh, okay, I'm actually making more than 10 grand a month, right? Because if you can make more, like you can make 20, 25K, 30K a month, like why wouldn't you, right? If you can put in that extra effort, get that capital, you know, invest it into some real estate, whatever you guys want to do. At the end of the day, you can do so much with your money. But this is just a simple way to break it down. And then when you see it and you break it down, you're like, okay, $10,000 a month, you know, divided by how many cars am I have to sell if I make about an average of 500 cars, $500 a car. I got to sell about 20 cars. Okay, so this is what I have to do. How many calls do I got to make? How many people I got to contact, you know, based on, let's say, average ratio of what my closing is going to be. So you break all that stuff down, and then you see that it's actually possible. You're like, oh, that's not even that hard, $10,000 a month, right? So what I'm saying is it's a possibility for you guys. Like, honestly, it's a possibility, and it's not that difficult. And I've done it when I was on the sales floor for a long time. I was making a lot more than that, but I did it consistently. And when you reverse engineer it and break it down like this and break it down into easy math, you're like, okay, it's not that hard, okay? But you also got to seek mentorship. So what I mean by seek mentorship is if you have, let's say, your sales managers, okay? You'll have sales managers at the dealership you work at. Hopefully, the sales managers that are at your dealership were once on the sales floor and were once top salespeople, and they knew what they were doing and they were good at selling cars, because then they can pass that knowledge back onto you, right? So if you have a sales manager that's willing to mentor you, and I can guarantee they'll be willing to mentor you if you're actually working hard and you have the right attitude. I guarantee it, right? Because right now, as we speak while I'm recording this video, I'm a sales manager at this dealership, top Hyundai dealership in Western Canada. And I am more than happy to mentor my team that has the right attitude and they put in the effort. If they have those two things, if they have the right attitude and they put in the effort, I will mentor them. I have no problem with that. I'm more than happy to mentor them because I want to see them be successful. Because I saw how fast being in car sales and making the kind of money that I was making changed my life for me and my family. So I understand how important it is, and that's why I want to pass that on, because I want other people to be able to experience that as well and make that real money and be able to give money to their family, take care of their mom, take care of their dad, and you know, do all these things and not worry about anything, spend money on vacations and you know, buy whatever car they want. If there's an unexpected expense on something they need to spend money on, like they're not stressing about it. Like money is the biggest stressor. But if you're in sales and you get good at it and you learn the skill and you're making over 10 grand a month, like the opportunities are endless is what I'm saying. So hope you guys got some value on this, on how you can make $10,000 a month in car sales, and hit the subscribe button and follow for more.